This, to sum it up, has been a long winding explanation of both the Indus River and the treaty that governs it between two sovereign nations. This is not to say that the treaty has been perfect. There have been many calls to renegotiate the agreement and revisit what was set out in 1960. While the treaty was heralded as a peaceful resolution of water issues between the two countries and was seen as serving the purpose for the last 5 decades, even during full-fledged war, the treaty remained enforced and effective. However, India, taking advantage of the provisions of the treaty, initiated some projects including Kishanganga, Baglihar and Wular, that revived rather heightened water-related tensions. India's current moves are similar to this historic trend. Because they have the ability to stop the water, India continues to rationalize exercising this power. Recent visits by this correspondent to barrages across Punjab and Sindh revealed a stark contrast in water quality, flow, and infrastructure, exposing a deepening crisis that directly affects millions of farmers and rural communities. Other witnesses also present a bleak picture. At Sulamanki Barrage, the Sutlej River, once a lifeline for southern Punjab, has become a carrier of death. The water runs black, laced with white chemical froth. Local officials confirm that during winter, particularly in January and February, no actual river water reaches the barrage, only raw sewage. In these months, the river-to-wastewater ratio plunges to 0 to 100. The stench can be unbearable. Standing near the barrage is described as nearly impossible. Groundwater in the region is saline, making canal water the only source for drinking, cooking, and farming. The people of nearby Cholistan, one of Pakistan's harshest deserts, depend on this tainted water, often boiling it before use, but with no alternative in sight. This is not just environmental degradation, it is a slow-burning humanitarian crisis. The pollution is both domestic and transboundary. The Hudera drain, infamous for carrying untreated waste from India into Pakistan, delivers a toxic load from both sides of the border. Indian industrial and urban effluents flow into the Ravi River, combining with sewage from Lahore, Faisalabad, and Kasur, including waste from tanneries before spilling into the Sutlej. This upstream activity reduces clean water availability for Pakistan in the critical winter season, when snowmelt from the Himalayas is minimal. At Head Islam and Punjnad barrages, the story remains grim. Polluted low-flow water reaches farmers too late or in quantities too small to matter. Irrigation officials spend most of their time mediating disputes over dwindling supply. In stark contrast, Sindh tells a different story. At Gudu Barrage, the Indus flows clean and strong. The Pat feeder and Gatki feeder canals were operating during the visit, and the water was visibly healthier. At Sukur Barrage, the world's largest irrigation system, water still commands respect. While right bank canals like the Nara Canal flowed with strength, left bank canals were noticeably weaker as a result of post-2010 flood changes and sediment shifts that have tilted the river's natural flow. The contrast between Punjab and Sindh is not merely ecological, but geopolitical. India, as the upstream country, controls the flow of the eastern rivers, including the Sutlej and Ravi, under the Indus Waters Treaty. During winter, when India's use for irrigation and hydropower increases, the outflow to Pakistan decreases. While permitted under the treaty, the timing and volume of water releases can have devastating effects downstream when no clean water arrives to dilute pollution. This is not just a local environmental tragedy. It is a test of regional cooperation, science, and governance. Without serious bilateral engagement and investment in pollution control, the rivers of Punjab may soon carry little more than poison, if they carry any water at all. This is a description of the scenario as it has existed for the past few years, where pollution flows heavily in from India, but water is regularly restricted. Now India is making moves to develop its river infrastructure in a way that gives it even more control. After the April 22 attack, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ordered officials to expedite planning and execution of projects on the Chenab, Jhelum, and Indus rivers. These are 3 bodies of water in the Indus system that are designated primarily for Pakistan's use, according to 6 people who spoke to Reuters. One of the key plans under discussion involves doubling to 120 kilometers the length of the Ranbir Canal on the Chenab. This canal runs through India to Pakistan's agricultural powerhouse of Punjab, as noted by two of the people familiar with the matter. The canal was built way back in the 19th century, long before the treaty was signed. Now this would be a major struggle for Pakistan. As explained by one official from IRSA, India is allowed under the Indus Waters Treaty to take a limited amount of water from the Chenab River for irrigation. However, officials familiar with internal discussions say that India is planning to expand the Ranbir Canal, which would significantly increase how much water can be diverted. Right now, about 40 cubic meters of water per second is drawn, but the new canal could allow up to 150 cubic meters per second. Experts say this kind of expansion would take years to build. These internal discussions reportedly began last month and are continuing, even after the recent ceasefire between the two countries. Officials from India's water and foreign ministries, as well as the Prime Minister's office, have not made any public comments about the project. If India continues to ignore the treaty, they will embark on the path to building low dams and hydropower projects that will dry up water in the western rivers Pakistan is supposed to have control over. The Indus Waters Treaty is often praised as one of the world's most successful water-sharing agreements. It has survived wars, coups, and near collapse, yet it is also a fragile peace. Climate change, population growth, and upstream development are increasing tensions. Academic observers caution that while the IWT remains a resilient legal framework, it is under stress. As geographer Aisha Ray puts it, the treaty assumes stationarity in both hydrology and politics, which is an assumption that no longer holds. For Pakistan, the logic is quite simple. If India makes efforts to hinder the supply of water to which Pakistan is entitled under the treaty, and on which it is wholly dependent, that is tantamount to putting Pakistan on death ground. Pakistan has no choice but to fight India because to not fight means to accept death. India's leadership has long understood this, and also that much as they may loathe Pakistan's leadership, the two countries are stuck next to each other. And to put Pakistan in that position means foreclosing the option of a peaceful coexistence. This generation of Indian leadership, however, appears to be unburdened by such weighty considerations of wise statesmanship. One can hope that the recent conflict will have taught the BJP government to be more cautious in the future, particularly since India has taken a bit of a beating on the world stage. To them, causing Pakistan pain in increasing doses will cause Pakistan to yield. The problem with that theory is that Pakistan has to believe that India's demands will be reasonable, and when complied with, the pain will stop. That implies some level of ability to trust. When someone threatens your water and therefore your very ability to live, the question of trust is gone. At that point, the choice is simple: fight or die. We want to make it very clear. India has not yet put Pakistan in this position, merely mused about it. And while Pakistan should use diplomatic means to dissuade India from undertaking any actions against the letter and spirit of the Indus Water Treaty, the language should also make it plain: do not put Pakistan in a position of having to fight for its life. We are not a nation that will go gentle into that good night.